What makes a public service announcement good? This question alone can be a very subjective topic to talk about. This is because some people might think one aspect of a PSA is what makes a good PSA, and other people might think differently. But it's definitely a question PSA enthusiasts would ask themselves at least once in their lifetime. And today, I will answer what makes a PSA good. Obviously, this is all just my opinion, as this is a very subjective topic, and some of you might think other things is what makes PSAs good, and that's great. But before we get into it, please make sure to like the video if you enjoyed this video, and also if you actually enjoy my content, I would much appreciate it if you click that little subscribe button down there. Also, want to talk to some amazing people as well as myself? My Discord is below in the description where you can talk to fellow PSA enthusiasts and even talk to myself about anything. Lastly, I want to thank you all for getting this channel to 2,000 subs. The support has been ridiculously insane. I can't believe how quick this channel's grown. I only just came back to this channel about a month ago and we gained over 500 subs in just a month alone. That just blows my mind. I would have never thought this would have happened at all. I honestly thought this channel was just going to burn down and die when I came back, but no, it's done better than it's ever done. Anyways, let's all get into the video. So before I decided to answer the question, what makes a good PSA, I decided to go out and ask people what makes a good PSA in their eyes. So I went to my Discord to ask for a few answers, and here are some of them. So the first answer I got was from Minty Melody. They said, well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so all those classic USA PSAs I saw when they were new and Just Say No was in full swing. So what makes a PSA good? Well, the ones that tug on your emotions and get into your head. If you feel something, you're more likely to take it seriously. They don't have to be gruesome, just emotionally raw and honest. I remember the PSA no one ever says I want to be a junkie when I grow up, specifically because the kid who goes I want to be a ballerina and the image shows an adult of her spinning around and falling. That was horrifying and tragic to me. That and the I learned it from watching you one because wow, what a twist. I didn't want to do drugs and be that woman spinning around falling down, so I sure as heck never wanted to meet the snake dealer. Good lord, good PSAs are memorable for all the right reasons, not Pee Wee Herman talking about crack. Another response from Your Brain on Sheep in my Discord server says this: a mix of audio and the thud of the grotesque bit in the video. Sometimes even the audio is enough. I like to point to the Hansel and Gretel child abuse PSA as a good example of this. Sometimes even text is enough. I like to point to the shoeboxes we ran out of coffins ad for this. Sometimes even the brutality is enough. I like to point to the chase, aka Fox getting hunted and dies, before we get to see the real life Fox corpse come on screen, as an example for this. Cinnamon Wolfkins from my server said this: I guess it kind of depends on the context. Shock factor is generally more memorable, however it may not be realistic, like the Shame on You PSA, but then there's ones based on true stories which are just depressing. Then there's the effective ones that actually help with the change the company wants, like Julie. I guess if you have the right combination of each, you should make something great. And Riley.wk said this: what makes a good and effective PSA is the realness of it. The more it makes you sit back and think, wow, I never thought of it that way, the better. I grew up with all the anti-smoking PSAs and the ones where the woman's peeling off her skin. Or the one where the guy pulls out a tooth as a payment for his cigarettes always got me the most. Those hit way harder than any truth ad I see now. Also, Car Crash and the Montana Meth Project PSA scared the daylights out of me. It's the realism of them. That really happens to people. I know that's the point of the PSA, but the more realistic they are, the more of an impact it has. To understand what makes a PSA good, we first have to have a look at a few examples of what I think are good PSAs. My examples of good PSAs are You're the Guinea Pig, Yes Mum, Mike and Molly, and even the whole Vince and Larry PSA campaign. First, we will start with You're the Guinea Pig. The PSA shows a man strapped down in a chair being tested on by a group of scientists. The scientists are testing the effects of ecstasy on the man, whilst the narrator says no one knows how much brain damage ecstasy causes and that it's still being tested. You're the Guinea Pig ends with the line take ecstasy and You're the Guinea Pig as we see the man in the chair struggling to get out as the PSA fades to black. I see You're the Guinea Pig as a great PSA because of how it visually shows you how bad ecstasy really is, with the scientists having to test the effects of the drug on a man strapped in the chair. I find it to be simple but extremely effective, and the narrator also helps deliver the message of the PSA to the viewer by only saying 2 lines to the viewer. The last thing I'll mention about this PSA is the slogan at the end is very simple but also very memorable. And for a PSA, you want people to try and remember the PSA and remember the message you're trying to deliver across to the viewer. Another example I will dive into is the PSA called Yes Mum. The PSA follows a group of friends in a car as they seem to have stopped as the driver's ringing their mother. We follow the driver as he's talking to his mum on the phone as we get brief flashbacks to what happened just hours ago. Most of them were drinking in the car in the flashback, but the PSA keeps cutting back and forth and the driver on the call seems to get more and more upset. When he's about to start crying, the rave music stops and it turns into more slow and disturbing music as the man's breaking down. We finally see why he's breaking down, and we see his friends trying to break out of the car because the car's going underwater. When we see his friends trying to break out of the car, we hear them panicking to get out whilst the driver's crying on the phone. The PSA fades to black as the water covers the whole car. Again, what makes a good PSA to me is simplicity. It doesn't show too much or too little as we get a good idea of what happened. All we see is that the group were drinking not long before this scenario happened, and the group in the car struggling to get out as the car's sinking in the water. By the way, this PSA really pulls in your heartstrings, and to think that this was just some random person that entered a TAC film competition's PSA is nuts. The next example of a good PSA I have is Mike and Molly. Also, get ready for me to say Molly instead of Joy the whole time. This PSA follows Mike and Molly as they're talking to the camera about how they miss their daughter. Mike and Molly get asked the question, what is it like to lose someone? And they talk about how losing their daughter is like a massive void that will never be filled. They both talk about how she died to a drunk driver because the drunk driver slammed their car into the back of their daughter's car, killing her. Mike and Molly talk about how they'll do anything just to talk to her or even see their daughter again, as you can hear how much her death has affected them both. The PSA ends with the text, "This millennium, take a moment to think about the rest of your life. Please don't drink and drive." I think you all are starting to notice a bit of a pattern here where the PSAs I think are good are usually quite simple, but also very effective at delivering the message to the viewer. It's another PSA that plays on your heartstrings, but honestly not as much as the Yes Mum PSA. It still does, but this PSA just shows more the realistic side to deaths from drunk drivers, where we see how much it affects the victim's family. But now with the last example, I will show you all that you do not need a dark and disturbing PSA to deliver your message across very well. The Vince and Larry PSAs. Yeah, I've talked about these guys a lot, for a good reason. The whole campaign's a brilliant example for how you don't need to scare the viewer to get a message across. All of the PSAs in this campaign are lighthearted, informative on how buckling up can save your life, and they also have a lot of great puns. You can't tell me that these PSAs aren't effective, as this is what got most of America to actually buckle up. Yeah, this campaign alone got seatbelt usage from 14% in 1985 when the campaign started, up to 79% at the end of the campaign in 1997. Watch any of the PSAs from this campaign and you will see why they had such a positive effect. Also, one big thing I want to mention is that these PSAs were actually way ahead of their time, because most of the PSAs from the 80s and even the 90s were quite dark and disturbing, and most of the time they failed to deliver their message to the viewer. Another big thing is that both Vince and Larry are very memorable characters with their own distinct personalities that work together and even stand on their own. This campaign did what Mac Tonight did to McDonald's, but for seatbelt usage nationwide. Yeah, look, I know, wild reference, but I've been watching a lot of Amp Lemon. So, you might be asking after you looked at those examples, what makes a PSA good? I will tell you exactly what I think makes a PSA good, down to a few different factors. Effectiveness. Is the PSA effective at delivering the message it wants to deliver to the viewer? Memorability. Is the PSA memorable? Will people remember this as more time passes, or will it be forgotten with time? Storytelling and visuals. This is two different things because some PSAs aren't trying to make a short film, but instead make something funny, such as the Vince and Larry PSAs. But with the PSAs that are trying to basically make a short film that delivers a message, does it deliver a well thought out story and scenario to the viewer? And on the visual side of things, does it look good and interesting? Does it look unique to what other PSAs are showing to the viewers, and does it stick out from the rest? Slogan. This is a smaller one, but it also ties a bit with memorability, but does it have a good catchy slogan to go along with the PSA? This is really what I believe to be the few determining factors to a good PSA. As I said at the start of the video, some people will have other factors to what makes a good PSA in their eyes, and that's great. It's just my opinion on how I decide PSAs are good or not. Also, all of the examples I talked about before do all of these things very well, and that's why they're great examples to back up my factors of what makes a good PSA. Anyways, I really hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know by giving this video a like, and also let me know your thoughts down in the comments. All of your comments are appreciated, and even consider subscribing if you enjoy my content in general, as it really does help me out, and this channel's been growing like crazy and it's absolutely insane. If you enjoy my content and you want to talk about PSAs or anything in particular, make sure to join my Discord. It's down in the description. I want to get it big, I want to get it going, and have an awesome community. It'd be insane. With all that done, I will see you all in the next video.